Carrie drew two mommies. She told me they're married to each other.
Guess what? Jehovah's Witnesses just released a new Caleb and Sophia video, a propaganda video made to indoctrinate children into their cult.
My teacher says that all that matters is that people love each other and that they're happy.
Well, people have their own ideas about what is right and wrong. But what matters is how Jehovah feels.
Did you see the look on the mom's face? I'm sure it's obvious how this conversation went. That episode was called One Man, One Woman, and it gets bad. I've been following the Caleb and Sophia series since I started my channel, so it's only right I cover the newest one too. The title is, Does Jehovah Answer Prayers? Let's get into it. The newest one is just a trailer for a longer episode. I honestly don't know why they do it this way, but they did the same thing with the last one too, about birthdays. They released a 2-minute trailer for a 9-minute video. Why? Well, anyways, it'll give us some insight into the points they're trying to make, so let's give it a watch. Check it out.
There's a girl at school. She's so mean to me.
Hey, Sophia. We know you're in there. What a loser.
I prayed for it to stop, but nothing's happened.
When Jehovah listens to your prayers, he really listens.
Why would you pray for it to stop? If somebody is bothering you, if you feel unsafe at school in some way, the answer is to talk to the administration. Ride their ass until they do something about it. And if they refuse to fix the problem, sue the shit out of them. The administration has an obligation to make sure you feel safe. And if you don't, they can be held legally responsible for that. Why are we relying on God to solve problems that can and should be solved without him? In a recent episode, I talked about Jehovah's Witnesses governing body member Stephen Lett and a video he released recently.
Why does Jehovah not give all the power? Well, if you think about it, if he gave us all the power we needed to keep our integrity, would that prove the devil a liar? Would that prove we are integrity keepers? No, it would just prove Jehovah has a lot of power. But Satan would claim that Jehovah is unfairly using his power to give us a free ride through our tests and trials.
Is this an example of a test and trial that Sophia just had to go through because Satan wants to see if she loves God enough? This is seriously sick. Just contact the administration and yell at them until they do something. Or is that cheating too? I just want to point out that this is something a lot of people deal with, especially Jehovah's Witnesses. I'll get into that more in a minute. But when this kind of video comes out, every single kid that feels they're mistreated at school in some way sees it and says, hey, that's just like me. This is a message from Jehovah. He's trying to tell me something. Let's keep watching.
What do you want, Angela? Jehovah, please, I need your help.
There you go. That's the trailer. What Angela did to Sophia is assault and battery. There's usually an escalation period. Kids don't typically walk up to others and push or hit them without lead up. They try to find some fabricated offense that they believe can only be remedied with violence. Of course, in my opinion, violence is never the answer, except in very narrow circumstances. Like it's already been used on you, and you have to use violence out of self-defense, and there's absolutely no other way around the situation. In my heart, I'm a pacifist, and that viewpoint I hold probably comes from being raised as a Jehovah's Witness. The religion is generally pacifistic, which is why Sophia didn't drop her books and get up in the girl's face. Anyways, as I was saying, there's usually an escalation period. You should tell the administration while it's escalating before it gets to this point. If they fail to act, then they can be sued for every penny they have. This is actually a recurring theme with Jehovah's Witnesses. I dealt with this kind of thing when I was a kid too, because growing up as a Jehovah's Witness makes you a target. You aren't supposed to be friends with anybody except other Jehovah's Witnesses. You're supposed to treat the school as your territory. Jehovah's Witnesses point out that some of the kids in your school might live in gated communities, otherwise inaccessible by door-knocking Jehovah's Witnesses. So it's your responsibility as a kid in the school system to preach to your classmates. How popular do you think that makes you? I pulled some other examples of how Jehovah's Witnesses act at school from the Caleb and Sophia videos. Check this one out. In this clip, Caleb is torn between eating a cupcake and making Jehovah mad. Before we continue, I wanted to mention something. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, there's Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring or my Etsy shop. I sell all kinds of cool stuff on Etsy, including cartridge, box, and controller stands for every game system, from the original Nintendo to the PlayStation 4. So give it a look. You might find something you like. Let's keep watching. In this clip, Caleb is torn between eating a cupcake and making Jehovah mad.
Hey, Caleb.
Oh, hey, I was just,
You can have it.
Wait! I thought he can't have it.
Yeah, which is it?
I didn't want it anyway. But I thought the Bible says you can't.
How popular do you think this kind of behavior makes you at school? It makes you an outcast. You're fucking weird. Nobody wants to be your friend. They don't want you around. And that, in turn, makes you a target for harassment and bullying, which reinforces the misconception that the world is evil and sick and out to get you. Even if you find a kid who doesn't view you as strange, it doesn't matter. You aren't allowed to be their friend anyways. You can be acquaintances, but not friends. Here's another clip about Caleb and Sophia at school. In this one, Sophia is expected to preach to her classmates, as I mentioned earlier. Check this out. Sophia saw somebody sad and saw a problem that she thought she could solve. In a minute, they show Sophia talking to her mom about how bad she feels for Zoe because her grandma died. Let me give Jehovah's Witnesses a little friendly advice. Don't stick your nose in where it isn't welcome. Death of a family member is a serious situation, and telling them you know how to fix it and that they shouldn't be sad could very easily end badly. For the record, though, Jehovah's Witnesses are trained to do this kind of thing. Since the pandemic struck, they've been looking for other ways to spread the good word, other than knocking on doors. I knew somebody that had just lost their child, a fellow YouTuber. They tweeted about it to inform their audience because everybody knew they were pregnant. I can't imagine even tweeting about it was easy. But along comes a Jehovah's Witness to cheer them up. They didn't know each other. The Jehovah's Witness was just searching Twitter for keywords like died or lost a child or something. And they tweeted something about being able to see the kid again in the new system. This is fucking disgusting. Don't do it. It is wrong. And you have a high chance of really upsetting some people, especially if you do it at school, like Sophia is being pressured into doing, as you'll see in a minute. Again, how popular do you think that makes you? Let's keep watching.
I feel so bad for Zoe. Her grandma died. I wanted to tell her about Jehovah, but I got scared. I wish I was more brave.
See how they frame it like it's a moral failing if you don't shove it down people's throats? How wrong is this? The worst part is that I remember doing shit like this myself at school. I remember trying to convince my classmates that they'd see their dead loved ones again. And that's probably why I was so hated up until high school. That's when things changed for me, because I decided I wasn't going to be a Jehovah's Witness clone. I still believed it to the bottom of my heart, but I was going to have friends and live my life. Things got a lot better. Let's keep watching the clip.
You just need a little practice. And then you will be bold too. Do you remember what we're doing tonight?
Family worship?
Right! Maybe tonight we can make a pretend classroom in the kitchen. I can be Zoe. And Dad and Caleb can be the other kids. You can practice being bold with us. And then tomorrow, you'll be all set for Zoe.
Notice how they said they were going to emulate the other kids in class, and the dad put on a tough guy hat and a mean face, then Caleb put on a dumb face? This is how they want you to view the world. This is how they depict it to their kids. Seriously, you guys might think that's a bit of a stretch, but this is propaganda. Every single thing in this video is staged, right down to the hat the dad is wearing and the curve of his eyebrows. Let's finish watching the clip.
I thought I couldn't be brave, but I learned from the little Hebrew girl. She was just like me, and Jehovah helped her be brave. I'm sorry about your grandma. This is for you. It will help you feel better. Thank you. See ya. Bye. Hey, Timmy. Want to see what I was reading on the bus? Sure. This book teaches about Jehovah.
Jehovah?
Yeah, that's God's name. It tells us about a happy future for the earth. Plus, there's a bunch of pictures in here to help you learn about him.
Wow, pretty cool. Thank you.
Bye. I want to tell people at school about Jehovah. If I'm ever afraid, I know he'll help me. Because he's my friend.
Yeah, that's not really how it goes. You try to offer this stuff to them and they make fun of you. I know because I was in that exact situation. And they even depict it that way in other episodes to fuel their persecution complex. But they chose to show Sophia succeeding in this one because they want to push kids to preach to their classmates. They want you to think it'll go well. In reality, it will not. Take my word for it. I did it. I was in this position from kindergarten to 7th grade. I know exactly how it goes. First-hand experience. I feel like I've made my point. But for good measure, let's watch one more clip about how Jehovah's Witnesses expect their kids to act in school. Check this one out. It's probably the most famous of all the clips. One man, one woman.
Look, Mom. I drew our family in school today.
Oh, wow!
I didn't have time to finish Caleb's face. Carrie drew 2 mommies. She told me they're married to each other. My teacher says that all that matters is that people love each other and that they're happy.
Well, people have their own ideas about what is right and wrong. But what matters is how Jehovah feels. He wants us to be happy, and he knows how we can be happiest. That's why he invented marriage the way he did.
You mean polygamy? That was the most popular form of marriage for a hot minute there, wasn't it? Weren't a ton of important Bible figures that had God's blessing polygamous? Oh yeah, they're just going to ignore that fact because they want to discriminate against gay people. Why am I not surprised? Let's keep watching.
That's why he invented marriage the way he did.
You mean one man and one woman?
Exactly. Look at Genesis 1:27. Jehovah created Adam and Eve, male and female. Then in Genesis 2:24, he said that a man will stick to his wife. Later, Jesus said the same thing. Jehovah's standards haven't changed.
No? They haven't changed? I love how they quote the first couple chapters of Genesis, then move on to the New Testament and pretend all the stuff in between doesn't exist. I checked the Answers in Genesis website to see how they explain polygamy in the Bible, and it says, quote, "Rather than covering up the faults and flaws of its key figures, the Bible frequently shows us humanity in its deepest sin," end quote. Deepest sin! Not only did the Old Testament not condemn the polygamy of the people like Jacob, Esau, David, and Solomon, but it didn't even frame it in a negative light. It was just normal. And they were massive figures. These people weren't nobodies. They had God's blessing. Isn't that interesting? But Answers in Genesis says they were disgusting sinners. The same language I hear from them about the LGBT community on a regular basis. It seems to me like it's fair to draw the conclusion that even when somebody is, according to Answers in Genesis, deeply sinning, they can still be loved by God and not even be condemned for the sin. They can even be key figures in theology. Seems to me like that's another strong justification for not hating or lobbying against the LGBT community. But who the fuck am I? Let's keep watching.
It's kind of like going on an airplane. What would happen if someone wanted to bring something on the plane that wasn't allowed?
They couldn't go on their trip.
Right. It's the same with Jehovah. He wants us to be his friend and live in paradise forever. But we have to follow his standards to get there. At Matthew 7:13 and 14, it talks about the road leading to paradise. To get there, Jehovah says we have to leave some things behind. That means anything Jehovah doesn't approve of.
Actually, the more I read, the more I'm convinced that God really doesn't give a shit about any of this. The more I think he would be more upset with Christians directly contradicting the Bible by judging others and not loving their neighbors as themselves. But logic doesn't really matter. In fact, if you went into this with logic in the first place, you wouldn't believe it. What matters is feelings. I feel like this is right. I have no evidence for it, it just seems right to me. When you approach anything from that angle, you are almost guaranteed to fail. That's why courtrooms rely on evidence and facts. The cops have their gut feelings and come to conclusions prematurely, but the court system doesn't accept their gut as evidence because they know it's a fool's errand. For some reason, there's this corner of society that has convinced themselves that basing everything off of feelings is the way to go. Let's finish the clip.
But I want everyone to get to paradise.
So does Jehovah. And you know what? People can change. That's why we share his message. So, what can you say to Carrie?
Well, I could tell her about the paradise. I could tell her about the animals and the resurrection.
That's awesome! Let's practice.
And there's the next piece of evidence for why Jehovah's Witnesses are universally hated in school. Sophia's mom is helping her practice to tell her friend that her moms are living in sin and they should split up and get right with God. This religion isn't benign. It is a malignant tumor on the underbelly of society. Jehovah's Witnesses tell their kids to push religion down their classmates' throats, even when their classmates are dealing with something traumatic, especially when they're dealing with something traumatic. Even if following the expectations of the oppressive religion would lead to your parents' divorce and accomplish nothing, they set the kids up to fail socially. Then all they have to lean on is Jehovah's Witnesses. They build a bubble around you. They set up a system where they can yank the rug out from under you if you do something they don't like, and they guarantee you will fall flat on your ass when they do. They've guaranteed that the only friends you'll ever have are inside the religion. They guarantee you don't have any on the outside and you view them as evil. If you do something wrong, they disfellowship you and you lose everybody you've ever known or loved for your entire life. Permanently. Parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, everybody. They start from the day you're born and structure your world to be under their control. These Caleb and Sophia videos seem mostly harmless to some outsiders, but they are just one cog in the wheel of manipulation that is the Jehovah's Witness religion. Anyway, so that's all I've got for you. Thanks for watching, guys.